Have you ever just stopped and looked at your life and thought, wait, is this it? Well, what if you could stop just living your life and actually start designing it? That's the amazing idea from the book Designing Your Life. And today, we are going to break down how you can use the mindset of a designer to build a life that's not just, fine, but one that's genuinely joyful.
The classic question, right? The one we all got asked as kids. But here's the funny thing. Most of us, we never really stop asking ourselves that question. It doesn't matter if you're 15 or 50. It's kind of always there in the back of your head. But the big secret? There isn't just one right answer. And that's not a problem. Believe me, it's an opportunity.
So, why do so many of us feel completely stuck at some point in our lives? I mean, whether you're fresh out of school or you're thinking about retirement, that trapped feeling usually comes from a bunch of ideas we've had drilled into us, beliefs about how life is supposed to go. And guess what? Most of them are just plain wrong.
Okay, let's take a look at Ellen. She liked rocks. It was a cool hobby, so she majored in geology. Makes sense, right? But then she graduated, and the reality just slammed into her. She did not want to be a geologist for a living. So there she was, back at home, walking dogs for cash, with a super expensive degree and absolutely zero idea what to do next. It's that classic early career panic.
You see, Ellen was totally trapped by what the authors call a dysfunctional belief. She thought her degree was like a one-way street to a single career path. But the truth? It's so much more like a launch pad with a ton of different directions you could go. And the very first step to getting unstuck is to reframe that belief, to see the reality.
Just think about this for a second. Only 27%, that's just over a quarter, of college grads in the US actually end up working in a field that's related to their major. All of a sudden, Ellen doesn't seem like a failure at all, does she? She's completely normal. And just understanding that can be the key that unlocks everything.
All right, now let's talk about Janine. She went to a top law school, landed a job at a huge firm. She was the dictionary definition of success. She had checked every single box. But at night, she'd just sit on her deck and cry. She had everything everyone told her would make her happy, and she was just miserable.
Janine's story just nails one of the most common myths out there, that if you're successful, you'll automatically be happy. But as she found out the hard way, that's just not how it works. You can have the trophy, the big salary, the corner office, and still feel empty inside. The reframe here is so important. You don't achieve happiness, you design it. You build a life that actually works for you.
And then we've got Donald. He worked the same job for 30 years. House is paid off, kids are grown. By all accounts, he did everything right, he was responsible. But every single morning, he'd look in the mirror and think, what was this all for? He felt completely trapped, and he was terrified that it was just too late to find any real meaning.
Donald's belief is the one that paralyzes so many people. It's too late for me. But the reframe is so hopeful and powerful, it is never too late to start something new. In fact, right now, over 31 million Americans between 44 and 70 are actively looking for what's called an encore career, something that brings together meaning, a paycheck, and real impact.
Okay, so if all these old beliefs and plans don't work, what does? This is where we make a huge pivot, from focusing on the problem to finding the solution. And it's all about learning to think like a designer, moving away from a rigid step-by-step plan and embracing a creative, messy process. And that brings us to the core concept, life design. It's basically a way of using a designer's toolkit to tackle what they call wicked problems, those big, complicated, messy challenges like, what do I want to do with my life? The biggest mindset shift is this. You don't think your way to an answer, you build your way forward.
This difference is so important. See, your life isn't an engineering problem where you crunch the numbers to find the one single perfect answer. It's a design problem. There isn't just one perfect life out there for you. There are tons of amazing, different, wonderful lives you could build. And that just takes all the pressure off of finding the one.
And, this design mindset also helps us totally demolish one of the most common pieces of bad advice out there. Follow your passion. Why is it bad advice? Because look at this. For 80% of people, it just doesn't work. Most of us don't have some single clear passion just waiting to be discovered. Designers know that passion is a result. It comes after you try things, get good at them, and then realize you love doing it.
So, how do you actually start doing this? Well, you begin by adopting 5 key mindsets. Think of these as your personal toolkit, the things you'll use to start building a life that really feels like you.
All right, here they are. First up, curiosity. You got to stay open, explore stuff. Next, a bias to action. Stop just thinking about it and start doing something.
build things, try stuff out. Third is reframing, which is all about making sure you're working on the right problem. Fourth, awareness, just knowing that this is a process, not a final destination. And last, but maybe most important, radical collaboration. You don't have to do this alone. In fact, you shouldn't. Ask for help.
Okay, this has all been great theory, but where on earth do you actually start? Right here, with a really simple tool they call the Life Design Dashboard. Because, let's be real, you can't figure out where you're going until you have a clear picture of where you are right now.
And this is the question that kicks the whole thing off. It sounds so simple, right? But answering this one question truly and honestly is the entire foundation for designing your life. It means you have to take a real, unflinching look at your life just as it is today.
So to answer that big question, you break it down into these 4 key areas. First is health, and that means your mind, your body, and your spirit. Then there's work, which is everything you do, your paid job, sure, but also parenting, volunteering, your side hustle. Then play, that's stuff you do just for the fun of it. And finally, love, your relationships and your sense of connection. I want you to just take a second and ask yourself, on a scale from totally empty to completely full, where's your gauge for each of these, right now? No judgment, just be honest.
Now, here's a really important tip. You have to look out for what are called gravity problems. These are the things in your life you just can't change. You can't fight gravity, right? It just is. And if a problem isn't something you can take action on, then it's not actually a problem to be solved, it's a circumstance. And the very first step is to accept it. Once you accept it, you can start designing with that reality instead of wasting all your energy fighting against it.
And really, this is what it all comes down to. You can't predict your future. No one can. But you absolutely can design it. Every little action you take, every curious conversation, every small experiment you run, it actually changes what's possible for you. It's not about finding the one perfect plan, it's about starting the creative process. So, the only question left is, what's the first thing you're going to build?